coming in. Would you like to see Makeup with Roy? The aforementioned Who's Not Here Stephanie, out of her 87 that are in her purse, left one of the deal. So I can guarantee you this: if I use that, that would be the last time she ever touched it. that. We're back on a thankful Thursday, and now we're just firing up on YouTube, having a little fun. We're gonna have Eddie George coming up as soon as Jesse gets hooked up on Facebook Live. Restarting my computer because it was working painstakingly slow and teeing me off on the deal. So I'll refire that up. Hopefully, it will work much better when it comes back up as we go. Get ready to go. That's just funky slide guitar music that starts playing every day at 5 o'clock, Monday through Friday. On a thankful Thursday as we come on live. We've been on live YouTube for a few minutes on that, and now we're on IE Newswire Facebook page. IE Newswire Daily is what we call the show. We bring you all the news that most of you will not hear, or all the stuff, not only from across the world, through the oceans, across the mountains, all the way down to the Inland Empire, where we will be broadcasting here in a little bit on KMET 1490. But most of the people, and it is kind of sad, I think, in a way, that a lot of people are not getting the local news or getting the spoon-sped, starting again today. Food spawn. I can't even say it. You know what I'm talking about. You keep getting this rhetoric that keeps going on, and it's actually someday, every day I get up, I thinking, maybe this stuff will turn around. Maybe we'll finally get some, maybe people will start waking up. They talk about woke or waking up or what. Maybe maybe the lights will go on and they'll start ding. The ding, ding, dings will go in. They will get it. We're going to bring in Eddie George of Hemet Eye News here because we have him on Skype. This time, hopefully, we'll have him back up on the video, which we looked like we had a good connection on of that, and we'll start rocking and rolling with all the stuff and insights from the crazy guy with the lazy eye on that. So. Well, a lot of things going on today. I mean, we had all the press conferences from New York to California to Washington, D.C. On that, and a lot of stuff firing up on this stuff. I mean, we can take this stuff a lot of different directions, and it always does go when we got Eddie George of Hemet on there. So whenever you're ready, bring him up on the show. We haven't lost the connection or something on here. Oh, there he is.
I'm trying to get my earbuds to work.
You're trying to get your earbuds to work. The ones you dug out of the trash can about 5 minutes ago?
Right. No, these are my wife got these for for Christmas. Actually, it's the rechargeable earbuds. You just put them in and recharge, but I can only get one to work. They both don't come on. I was hoping I'd hear you in stereo sound, but I found out why these things don't work right.
Why don't
They're made in China.
Yes, that's the thing. Yes. As Mr. Trump, El Presidente, said, and even Mario Cuomo, let's get on the Democrat side, said, how are we getting it? Trump said it, now Cuomo's saying it. How did we get in this mess with China? Well, Trump had it, but information, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, who's grown up in this, your dad was governor. He knows about this stuff. He was on the inside of it. It was Bush 1, Clinton, Bush 2, Obama that signed all these trade agreements with China across the board. NAFTA, GATT screwed us all over. And Trump was the one that's finally getting us out of them. And like a short story, I've said that. Like Trump said, he'd go to whatever Mao or whatever the heck the Chinese leader guy is. He said, how the hell did you get the United States to sign this stuff? And Mao looks back at him and says, we didn't do anything. They handed us the paperwork. we couldn't believe it. We couldn't sign it fast enough because it was all one-sided in our favor. We we were like as shocked as anybody else. We were more surprised nobody was questioning this stuff. Now we find us in our pickle where we're dependent on China from everything, from toilet paper to tampons to ventilators and everything else. And everybody's going, well, how did this happen? Well, those that are saying that know damn well how it happened. Yes. Give them your example. Give them your example, Eddie.
United States toilet paper. This is how much you get a mega roll from China, and this is just not used. I just tore some of it off, about 4 squares of it on the last show. But you could tell the comparison of their mega rolls versus United States mega rolls. They screw you when you're coming in wiping.
It is, and we are, and I'm hoping across the board on all of this stuff. Like I said at the top of the show, the big deal is are you woke? All that. Well, I hope a majority of the Americans now, not only from those listening to us in the Inland Empire, that watch us on the Facebook pages around here and stuff, but across the world, because we're going, in this information age, we're going everywhere. Start paying attention to this stuff. Yes, we do need. Cuomo said it. We need to bring manufacturing back to the United States so we don't find ourselves in this pickle again. What if we were in a war situation and we were finding ourselves, what if we, and it's very possible, if we got into war with China for some reason, and we were dependent on our weapons or defending the United States citizens, we're dependent on equipment and supplies from the people we're fighting. How stupid is that?
That's right.
Did I say it all?
You said it.
I've never seen Eddie George where he was just like dead silence like that.
Yeah, you basically took the words right out of my mouth.
But no, as you say it a lot, the United States has been stuck on stupid on a lot of this stuff all across the board. And it's about time we get off the stupid train.
Yeah, they so far stuck on stupid. Even Dave Clark with Clark's Towing ain't got trucks big enough to pull them out,
That's exactly right on that stuff. And again, looking for the light at the end of the tunnel instead of just all of a sudden, talking about all the bad news or there's plenty of stuff to be concerned about. But we are talking. Trump was talking about it. Cuomo was talking about it this morning in the various experts and stuff. We're plateauing. It looks like we're coming out of it now. Again, I want to hit 6-gear overdrive. Let's get off of this crap. Let's go. I don't think there's much of it. And we're going to bring up the Stanford University study here in a minute, which is very, very interesting. And we talked about this a little bit last night. But I put it out there on that. I have said 100%. I had this stuff in January. It's documented. I had that cough that wouldn't go away. Stephanie got sick in the fever. Right, that my dad, which is 80 years old and has lung damage, he got sick he was down for about 10 days, and he's like me, doesn't. And I was a little bit concerned about it because normally that's what gets a lot of old people. They get the flu or something, get pneumonia, and they pass away because because their immune systems are down. But he recovered on it, fine, no problem with that. Stanford University, and we're going to play the video here in a second, is now doing a study of the herd immunity. They're saying this went through California probably starting in November and December. And the reason possibly, and listen carefully, folks, possibly, that California is 10 times less affected per capita when we had it first before New York is that it went through California. It's already been spread through. People probably like me, I'm not a doctor, so I don't say for sure, but probably like me are already immune to it. It's already went through us, so we're not seeing these devastating effects, not only as the prediction models, but even compared to New York. What's your experience with this before we play the video, Eddie George?
Well, you was talking about that, Roy, that you had it, back in what,
About January,
January?
right at the
Well,
first of the year.
right. Well, see, that was, I can relate to what you were saying because back in December, we got sick, and I mean, it was the horriblest cough you ever had. It seemed like no cough medicine the doctor would give you would help. You were running a fever, aching all over. Felt like, I got ran over by, one of Dave Clark's tow trucks. And I mean, it was bad. It was the worst thing I've ever had. It was the worst flu that, the doctor said that it was, that I've ever had. And I'm like, man, there's something more to this. What the hell do I have, Lori came down with it. She was in the same predicament. My mama, my adopted mama, she came down with it. She's, like in her 70s. And I mean, it kept her down for over a month and a half. She still has some of the cough that she can't get rid of. A friend of mine, he's one of our reporters and everything, and he was down sick, same symptoms. The guy couldn't hardly, talk without coughing. He said he hurt from head to toe. His back hurt, his kidneys hurt, his shadow even hurt, And we finally got over it, and we even had a death back into that area that the guy even had the similar type symptoms of the coronavirus. And it's just I agree with you. I think this stuff crept up on us back in November and December and January area.
Yes.
Now, a lot of people are now coming down with it. I don't even think they even knew.
No, nobody had any idea, or there's a report out there that we were getting reports of it, but nobody was, especially in the United States, was not going it. This is from up in San Francisco, I think KESQ report of the Stanford University study that's now looking at the herd mentality. And did California have this in November, December? A lot of us have probably already had it and immune to it and are not carriers of it. So go ahead and play the video, Jesse.
Live with more. Jana.
Julie, when your body gets an infection, it produces these antibodies to help fight the virus. Well, even after the virus leaves, those antibodies can remain in your body, in your bloodstream. And some experts are saying that this antibody testing could be a key factor in helping to determine the COVID-19 spread. Stanford researchers launched new FDA-approved antibody testing this week. The goal is to test healthcare workers and the general population to identify how many have COVID-19 antibodies and possible immunity.
Whether or not those antibodies protect you from getting reinfected, whether they protect you from getting sick, maybe you could get reinfected but not get sick. And if that's the case, can you then infect other people?
Dr. Bonnie Maldonado, a Stanford professor of infectious diseases, says the study could yield preliminary results in the next few weeks. Stanford team set up 3 Bay Area test sites last Friday and Saturday and took...
That's a Stanford University researcher up there that does that and saying, yeah, we're looking at this. We're looking at it. The herd mentality or herd immunity like that, like Dr. Kelly Victory has talked about on this show, she thinks a lot more people have had it. It's went through the system. She's been talking about it. We've been taking a lot of heat or a lot of comments saying, oh, we're all going to die of this stuff and quacks and da-da-da-da-da. It's I bet you in the end it's going to be proven outright. And I'm saying this is a reason why per capita, New York's got 7,000 deaths now, 700 a day. We've got 452, and we had it first. They're pretty much saying it started here first before it hit New York. So why are this? And then I'm going to ask the question of that, but we're going to play the rest of the video on this. But I just wanted to make that point so the people will see this is not Roy. This is not the crazy guy with a lazy eye. These are not the conspiracy theorists. This is researchers from Stanford University telling you, look at the herd immunity and stuff of how this is why I say this is what will not make you panic. Play the rest of the video, Jesse.
severe flu season. And California had many direct flights to Wuhan that continued for months after China's first confirmed case in November 2019.
In theory, it's possible with the amount of travel we've seen between California and China that people could have crossed over.
Julia Shaletsky is executive director at UC Berkeley's Wheeler Center for Emerging and Infectious Diseases. She says there should be widespread antibody testing throughout the state.
You probably don't need to test every single inhabitant of California, but if you can get a representative group of the population, then you can draw conclusions.
If the antibody testing reveals a large number of people had the virus without knowing, it could signal herd immunity.
Herd immunity is normally built around 60 to 70% is what people assume. So this is the number we'll have to get effective herd immunity.
Shaletsky says solid scientific data can help to refine the models to determine appropriate response and how long social distancing should continue.
It will inform how our prediction models work for how many hospitals need to be ready and what kind of supplies we need, because the people who already had it are likely not going to get it again and could also move about more freely.
There you go, right there.
Research
Of what they're talking about. Okay, if we get to the 60 or 70% herd immunity like she's talking about, there's pretty much no problem. Are they? And that's what they're going to hopefully start testing so we can get back to normal if we come up with that conclusion, which I think is going to show that. Because like Dr. Burke said at the deal, 11% tested across the nation from the young people have it, down to 24% for people 85 and older. The sick, the old, elderly, those with underlying conditions are the ones that this virus is attacking. It's not attacking, in proportional numbers, more of those. It's not attacking younger, healthier people. Second thing, Gavin Newsom put out the stats of that because everybody's been hollering about this whole, it's affecting minorities or whatever you want to call, black, brown, Asians, whatever. And like I said, we'll deal with that. There is one race, the human race, and when we get all talking about that instead of all these classifications. But let's use their classifications. Cases in California that they have the data on so far. Those that have it, 25 of Hispanics, 30% have it, 25% death rate. Blacks, 7%, 8% population, 8% of the cases are black, 7% death rate. Asians, it's 18% have it, 13% death rate. Now, that's a hell of a lot bigger percentage of Asians versus their percentage of the population that have it, and under probably what it is in the black and Hispanic population. That's why I had the flight of showing you and of the report from the news channel in San Francisco of them talking about how the travel has been going between China and here. Now, where is it more prevalent in California? It seems to be in the Asian community. Where would the people be coming if they were traveling from China to Los Angeles, San Francisco, New York? Where would they be more likely to interact with? The Asian population. That's probably where their friends are, relatives. That's where they're probably staying, going to Chinatown, going their culture where they need it, da-da-da-da. I'm going to say that's where they're doing it. This is called anecdotal evidence. And this is what I asked earlier on our broadcast that I put out on Newswire Daily, Hemet Eye News. This is why you watch the whole press conferences now that you got nothing to do.
Right.
Am I right? This is why you watch.
I'm trying to watch them all,
Yes, this is why you watch them all, because this is what I'm saying. These are the questions that are not getting asked. The reporters are not asking these questions of that or putting it together, because I can tell you, or they should be, Dr. Birx, Fauci, whoever the guy is that's standing there, the bald-headed guy up there at the California one, who's the doctor or whatever that comes on. They should be telling you, they should be explaining to you this, not saying not running this stuff or trying to do the deflection of, oh, it's affecting black people or all that stuff. Why don't you give us the real world information of how this stuff goes, or answer these questions, or answer why it's not affecting California like it is New York City? You know damn well why. This is my opinion. Because they live in a cesspool. They live with those subways crammed in there. They're stacked on top of each other, 100 stories high. You can't move down the street because everything
and
is
everybody
packed.
rides around like they're stuffed in a
Yes!
sardine can.
And if you want that, this is what I've been talking about. SCAG, Southern California Associated Governments, that wants to put you in there pushing these metro trains, wanting you to do bike lanes, putting density in California. If you want to lose your freedom, if you want to live like rats and you want pandemics to break out, bring New York City across America, because that's what you'll have. Stop me before my head explodes, Eddie George.
Hey, I agree with you, Roy. I mean, you've done a good job on that. And, I was watching a video. I want to bring this up, too. I know we probably won't be able to go into much of this video, but I watched that video that you sent me last night about the documentary on the beginning of the coronavirus, and it first came out that they were saying that it came from bats. And then the research is showing that some of the ingredient of the coronavirus does and truly do come from bats. But does that mean that it came from them eating the bats? Or my opinion is, since they like to research and make up these, viruses, because they're really known for what back up for biochemical warfare. So that's their main study over in Washington. Is it that they're collecting these bats and getting the viruses from the bats and creating their virus? Yeah, that could have came from bats, probably from a needle syringe, taking it out of it to do their little test on what kind of virus they can come up with next. So that's my opinion on that. And like I say, when they said it came from bats, that's the only way they originated from it, not eating the damn things, Now, you correct me if I'm wrong.
Can you hear me?
Now I can hear you.
Oh, now you can hear me. So it was Joshua Phillips that put the video out. He's from the Epoch Times. He's an investigative reporter. He went to Wuhan, China, and investigated. Started where they said this thing happened, at the market where supposedly the guy ate the raw bat and started all this stuff. They said there's no bats or nothing within 3 miles of this place. But there's no bats in the market or no live animals anywhere around there. Yada, yada, yada. And then they run through the whole thing. Now, I'm not saying it's 100% correct, but I'm not discounting it either. So I'm saying before you discount some of these theories that are going around, watch and ask questions like I've been explaining. Don't take what they're telling you. Don't take what they're spoon feeding you of that. There's another article that just came out. This is very important. Let's break it down to California. Let's bring it down. You've heard, we're under San Bernardino County, Riverside County, under Dr. Kaiser's, the health official's order. Don't go outside. Don't go to your mom's house. Cover your face. If you're not, there's a $1,000 fine, 90 days in jail. You could kill somebody. You could be the one that kills your mother if you go and visit her. That's what the rhetoric is going out. You hear about ventilators and all this stuff going crazy. Notwithstanding, you've heard my story about Kaiser and the La Granada School. This is the new one that's coming out. So Kaiser puts out this edict on that. Breaking in the Sacramento Bee, and put up the article in there that we got it if we got it, Jesse, in the deal. The Sacramento Bee Dr. Kaiser, who's predicting Armageddon in Riverside County. We only have 32 deaths of 2.5 million people of coronavirus, and we'll get into the stats, and maybe that's even skewed. He asked for 500 ventilators and was denied by the state of California, by Gavin Newsom and their health officials. Gavin Newsom turns around and sends 500 ventilators to the national pool to go elsewhere. So you tell me, Eddie George, does that make any logical, illogical, or any kind of sense to you?
Nope.
Then why in the hell are they scaring the frickin' hell out of us? Why are they putting us violating, in my opinion, we're going to have Mark Mosier on here. We had him in there when the Gavin Newsom deal is. He's now he put a demand letter to Dr. Kaiser and the Riverside Health official to back this thing off. We'll have him on tomorrow, hopefully. We'll see how they respond. I want to see how they responded, or if they responded to the letter. If not, quit scaring the hell out of the people. Quit giving them misinformation.
The truth.
Yes, give us, because of this study, and Gavin Newsom's still holding on to, we're not at the peak till 3 months. That University of Washington study that just came out, the lowered it down, said we're going to be at the peak this week, and we're at the peak in New York and probably nationally. And Trump said the same thing, and Berkson was indicating that today in the press conference. You watch it in Hemet Eye News or iNewswire Daily. It's on there. So you don't believe me? Go watch it. That they're saying it's in, and Gavin Newsom is still saying we're not going to peak until the first week in May, and that's his information. Reporter asked him, well, can we see this information? He says, we put it out there. Where the hell is it? Because I want to know how you're making these decisions right now. I want to know, Dr. Kaiser, how you're making these decisions, or what information you're using, because I think I have severe questions about it personally from the dealings of I have, and they have not responded yet about my questions about La Granada Elementary School in Riverside. So what the hell is going on, Eddie?
Well, I think it's time for us to put some heat on them then, because I know we've been emailing them for how long now, asking about that, and they don't want to give you the answer on it.
This has been going on since March 22nd, and they will not respond. They will not respond a second time. I asked him, well, what about this deal with the gloves and all this stuff? No response. No nothing. That's why I'm waiting. I'm waiting tonight to see how he responds to Mike Mosier's demand letter that he sent in behalf of, I think, American something or other institute of that to rescind this overall draconian order that's going on. And I want to see, because if it is necessary, and I'm even putting out the percentage of chance that it is necessary, let's say Dr. Kaiser's right, then cough up the information that you're giving us and let us look at it to see if the information you're making this order on is correct.
That's right, because, Roy, you and I were talking last night on the phone about this, and they're talking about, the person that was preparing lunches and everything that has the corona. They said, well, his gloves or his hands was inside the gloves. So in order for it to contaminate anything, he would have to pull the gloves inside out and touch it. Well, think about it, Roy. Let's put our heads together. Let's use a little bit of common sense to this. All right. First of all, before you get your glove, all right, you got the contamination on your hand for, say, if you've got the coronavirus. And let's just say this is the glove. I pull it out of the box. All right, now you're not reaching in the box and getting the glove out of the box from the inside of the glove. You're touching the glove from the outside of the glove, and then what do? You put your hand in it. So now your hand actually touched the outside of the glove, and now it's on the inside of the glove, and now everything you touch, that food and everything, is already contaminated. So him wearing that glove did do nothing.
If not,
so come on.
And I've heard people saying the gloves are actually can be potentially even more able to spread this disease of that than just the proper thing is to keep washing your hands. Don't touch your face. Keep washing your hands. That's it. That's how, and that should be normal. Didn't your mom tell you that?
That's right. It all falls back, folks. If you want to stop this virus, just use common sense.
Yes.
I mean, we're teaching our kids that, so why not you do it? I mean, it's simple, common sense. And I guess maybe instead of people going to Walmart and buying toilet paper, they should go buy common sense. They got a box of it for like $5.99. You buy two, get one free. And if you mention Roy and the crazy guy with lazy eye, you'll get a 25% discount on the third one, So, and it is on aisle number 9. Nobody's buying none of that right now, so there's plenty of that in stock.
Can you hang with me a few minutes on the other side?
Sure, let's do it.
Okay, so I'll get you about 5 or 10 on the other side on here. We had about a minute or two left on this, but no, you're right. I mean, as we put the video out that was on ABC7 that the nurse did, you're touching this, you're touching that. What difference does it make at the gloves and stuff? And again, it might live on plastic longer than your hands, so potentially in the evidence, and I sent him that evidence. Well, how did you, and you said it was very remote. If it's remote on this stuff, why all the draconian measures? Why are all the predictions now they're admitting from the Trump administration? And the report that came out on Channel 7 today that says they knew about it, and it was in a press briefing November 30th, in a briefing to the president, the military was warning about it. So this is even further back than the Navarro deal that came out in January. So they've known
30 seconds.
They've known about this stuff. They've known about the potential of this stuff. We need to get the herd mentality, as the researcher said. So that's how I believe the most people say this is how you stop this stuff. Let's get to a solution where we're going to get it right. Let's do the best solution, not try to kill our economy.
All right, guys, here we go.
AM.com and download your free phone app today.
IE Newswire Daily is on the air.
The following is a paid program. Views and claims expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed not necessarily
There's that funky slide guitar music that you hear every day 5:30 on the Mighty Met 1490, coming across broadcasting all across the AM radio waves, where Sean the engineer puts us out there. Producer extraordinaire Jesse's pushing all the buttons and keeping us going here in this Toyota San Bernardino recording studios that we have. We're going to have, speaking of that, we're going to have Cliff Cummings coming on in about 10 minutes on the show to give you an update. We're going to switch this stuff because there's some other breaking news along with coronavirus that's going on, but there's some other news that we do need to cover too on that has to deal with the stuff that's affecting us. We're going to get that. But I wanted to hang Eddie over a few more minutes on this whole deal since we got him up on Skype and the video. And we're even getting better technology and stuff to bring you an even better show that we got on there. But no, Eddie, there were... So to pick up where we left off, or give our audience at KMET a little upshot on this, man, it just seems from a lot of the stuff we're not getting the truth. They knew about it, it looks like, in November. We've known about it, that it's spreading, or it seems like we're going back and looking at it started in November, December. You think you've had it, I pretty much think I've had it. We've all seen the cases of that. And as the researcher from Stanford said, the best thing to stop this is for 60 to 70% of the people to get this. Then you have herd immunity, and then that's the only thing known that will kill, that I know of, I'm no medical doctor or expert, that kills a virus is the human immune system. And that's what they're talking about with herd immunity. The more people that get it and and 80% of the people suffer mild to moderate symptoms on this, as with every other flu, cold, or whatever virus that's going around. That's our best defense of this. If we don't look at this realistically, or look at the stuff that's going on and kill our economy, as Bill Barr said on Laura Ingram's show, he's the attorney general. If we kill our economy and we kill our medical system and all this stuff, it could have far more reaching impacts than maybe the few lives we're saving. We got to start looking at this stuff realistically. We got to start looking at the long-term impacts of what we're doing versus the short-term impacts of this. And am I right or wrong, Eddie?
You're exactly right, Roy. And another thing, what kind of a reaction we're going to have from this? We'll come back and relapse on what it is, or what?
There you go. I mean, it's absolutely incredulous of what's going on this stuff. And I just wanted to give an update of on this deal of for our listeners going on the AM dial on this stuff. That because we outlined it in the first half hour. Dr. Kaiser's putting these draconian measures on. We had the Stanford study we played the video on earlier. It says they're talking about the herd mentality. We're talking about Riverside County asked for 500 ventilators. They were denied by the state, yet Governor Newsom and the state is sending 500 ventilators to the national stockpile. In the meantime, we're locked down. They're saying, oh, if you go outside, you could potentially kill. If you visit your mom, you could potentially kill your mom if you go visit her because you might give her coronavirus. Yada, yada, yada. Doesn't make any sense.
Now, like I say, I'm going to take this thing up for some reason on this
There
end.
you go, yeah.
They're actually, that's just what I guess they're allowing them to put. Roy, I see so much bullcrap in these stories that's coming out. People need to really use common sense, see between the lines, where this really, really originates from, how it's affecting. And, what they're putting out is, I just smell bullshit.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, there you go. We're kind of losing your connection though. So wrap it up really quick. Give us an intro out, Eddie.
All right. Well, yeah, I guess I put out my ear so you couldn't hear me as well. But yeah. Anyways, folks, just read between the lines. The media is not really telling us what we really need to know. Use common sense. Do your research on this. And Roy, you're doing a good job. Doing the research and putting out this information. And we'll be having more information coming up Tuesday that Roy and I are discussing with too. So make sure you do follow us on here on IE Newswire Media and also HemetEyeNews.com. That's HemetEye News.com. Also on YouTube, Hemet Eye News. Or just search for me, that redneck hillbilly crazy guy with the lazy eye. And I'm getting off my chair, Roy, and I am now off your air.
You got it. Thanks a lot for that update, Eddie. We always appreciate all the insights you make on each and every day because you're right on spot on a lot of the stuff that's going on each and every day. We're going to have video run ready we're going to get Cliff Cummings, owner of proprietor and our main deal that you see behind us. So he's looking on video, Toyota San Bernardino. He also has Toyota, or not Toyota, I-10 Toyota in Indio and Subaru San Bernardino. He has 3 dealerships all across the greater Inland Empire area on that. We're going to get his insights. We're going to talk about the elections and how the effect, because we've had a couple of stories coming out on that. And I want to play the video, I think it's video 1, of Bill Barr talking that I briefly mentioned on this stuff coming up on that, of how looking at the long-term effects of what's going to happen to our economy if we don't, remove some of this stuff real quick, real fast on that, because we're potentially, we may be extending a few lives now. We may be costing 10, 20, 30, 100,000 times more in the future, and that would be tragic if that plus if we kill this economy on that, a lot of us, probably the majority of us, are going to be in a world of hurt. And that, again, that can have a lot of long-term effects that we all don't want to deal with. So we do need to look about getting this thing revved up, wrapped up, rocking and rolling, and all that. So we're going to, as I said, we're going to shift topics on that. And it has to do with coronavirus, but there's some other news that's going on around the point of that, with that coronavirus is affecting our elections on that. And to speak about this, there's a couple of topics that I want to talk about. One, the big thing about elections. Trump put it out there about election fraud. Everybody's talking about mail-in ballots and eliminating the pollings. And Trump said, and he reiterated it at the press conference, he said, we need to look at this mail-in ballots and stuff and the fraud. We need to get back to voting at the polls. Second thing, and we, it's not racist or anything like that, but he's put it out there because a lot of people are pushing this mail-in election. I, for one, am not liking it. I think we should go back to more of the poll system. And the second thing is Bernie Sanders basically pulled the plug on his campaign over this whole thing. You haven't heard hardly a peep. Is Joe Biden still alive? We don't know. But to discuss all this, the owner of Toyota San Bernardino, Subaru San Bernardino, I-10 Toyota in Indio, Cliff Cummings, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. It is great to be here.
So take it any direction you want.
Okay, let's do a couple of things. First off, I'm seeing some signs out there in the business world that people are getting very frustrated, sort of stuck at home kind of thing, and they want to get back out. I think that the one-size-fits-all mentality that the governor of California has taken is absolutely ludicrous. You've got monstrous areas where the population density is next to nothing, and they want these people stuck in their houses. You've got people in New York riding subways. What the hell was that about? And the mayor cut the number of trains so more people would be on the train. How ridiculous. I mean, you're looking for social distancing. Go to a Costco. All right, go to one of the department stores. But if you want to do that, walking a trail out in the mountains, you can't do that because they closed it down. So the way they've handled this is utterly ludicrous. And as I tell my friends, anybody who votes for any of these people who have dealt with this in Sacramento, I cannot believe that you can be bought like this. Now, let me talk to you about what I think is going on. I think we're going to pull out of this quickly. I think we're going to start going back to work here. I'd like to see San Bernardino and Riverside counties lead the way because we have great land masses with a lot of territory, and our population is spread out. I've been working today, yesterday, and I will be all weekend on trying to get businesses back open. Do it gradually. You're going to start with types of businesses where there's not a lot of density of people hanging out. I mean, a pet groomer in their own truck washing a dog doesn't have exposure, minimal. You've got people, allow the parks to reopen as far as walking trails, et cetera, et cetera. Anything that has to do with separation, because this, I think it's June 19th order where everything is closed until then. You got a baseball field or a soccer field. That's why they did it. It's school sports and school ends then. That you've got people packed in. Why would a golf course, for instance, apply there? You got one person, an acre. All right, it's stupid. And you've got a bunch of old people who are going to be stuck at home, including myself, stuck at home, all right, and not getting exercise, not getting fresh air, not moving around. You're creating a secondary problem. But let's put that aside. We're going to work on that, and I think that our guys are going to finally understand it. I don't know why golf courses, for instance, in Sacramento could be open, but they couldn't be open in San Bernardino County. Now, let me talk to you about politics. I think Bernie pulling out of the race was absolutely genius. I did this earlier today, and some people may have heard it. But he could not possibly get the nomination, right? And everybody knows Biden can't win the general election. So if Bernie pulled out, which he did, the remaining states could cancel their primaries and raise their hand and say, look, we're canceling our primary, assuming it's legal, and we're going to spend the money on getting out of this COVID virus downward spiral. We're going to try to put people back to work. All right. Well, if that happens, then technically Biden doesn't have enough delegates to become the nominee. At that point, Bernie can be kind of a broker in a convention that he couldn't win. Right. So it also allows the Democrats to pick in their convention another candidate. Right. Biden can't win, so let's find somebody who might be able to win. Don't think they can, but who at least has a chance. Well, Bernie's going to want to throw his delegates at those if he still controls them. And he's going to say, hey, look, I want a spot in the cabinet. I want some input on who it is. Well, if he has any input at all, then probably the candidate's going to lose because we don't want a communist. I'm sorry, socialist. Democrat, what the hell is he? He doesn't even know. And
no, you were right on the first one.
Yeah, he's not even a Democrat, and they're going to let him come to the convention? You're going to be kidding me. How screwed up are they? So anyway, so he gets a little slot in the new administration. If nothing else, he gets to write another book and buy another house and 3 more cars. All right. but he will have input, whereas right now they are completely ignoring him, as they should, and they've pushed him to the sidelines, but they need to get rid of Biden. Well, Biden as a candidate could be better than anybody that Bernie wants in there. So now they got to figure out how do they counter the Bernie move. And asking someone to be VP and having Biden step aside in a year or whatever, that doesn't play. Nobody votes for VP, except in this case they might. But I'm saying that I don't think that Biden is going to be the nominee. I think it's going to be a brokered convention. I think they're going to come out of there with one or two three potential people. It's going to be a mess. And it has to do partially with the legalities by state if they can cancel their primaries, which, frankly, they should do because there's no reason to have it now, right? Because Biden's the only guy.
Yes, and Ann writes in on that on our comment line. Yes, Cliff, please get businesses and people back to work on this stuff. I think it's very important on that. Hopefully, and I want to say there's a video out there, Mark Moisier. We had him on about the Gavin Newsom deal. He's put in a demand letter through another organization requesting that the county health officials in Riverside County and San Bernardino lift this ban or maybe modify it. We'll see what their response is to it. He gave him a 24. We'll have Mark on tomorrow after that dust settles or see how they respond to it on that. Because, yeah, I think they're scaring people to death on this whole thing, and it's just not good. But the reason I wanted to rope that in is, you can imagine if the Republicans did this and whoever was the nominee, let's say Donald Trump in 2016 got the election, or let's say Ted Cruz got the nomination in 2016 and they wanted to put Donald Trump in, and that happened in the Republican convention. People would be going apoplectic. If this scenario plays out, you're going to see your vote in the primary didn't count. Second thing is, I really think Trump is on it, and I really believe in this. I think we need to go back to how we used to do it, how we used to vote one day at the polls mainly. Absentee ballots were for people who were incapacitated, going to be out of town. You had to have a compelling reason why you had to do it. I just think, and I kind of agree with Trump, I don't know how you think about it, but I think we really start needing to look at our election system and make sure we have fair and honest elections.
Well, I think it's true. I think one thing you got to include in there is how the military got screwed in the last go-around. Military guys who are and ladies who are overseas should be able to vote. There was a deadline for when their ballot came in, and a lot of those votes that came in late did not get counted, and I think that's dead wrong. They're serving the country. They should have every right to express their view through their vote. And there were votes that weren't counted, and it was a big number of them, and that was just absolutely dead wrong. I do think we need to go back and have a verified voter ID.
Yes.
Every other country, it seems, on the planet does it, but our friends on the Democrat side say, no, everybody, it doesn't matter. Come on, we'll bring in another 30,000 people with the mumps, measles, and COVID. So at the end of the day, I think that, I think going back to Trump's point in this case is absolutely right. I agree with you. I agree with him, especially on the military side. They need to have their voice. Now, the other side of this is on the business side. What I'm proposing to people starting actually today was on the phone a lot is that we start opening the economy in the next couple of weeks with places where the population density is very low. Trump said it nationwide. I'm saying it by occupation. So if you're in a very crowded place like Orange County, and you're working in a field somewhere, whether it's a park, the farming, golf course, it doesn't matter. You get out there because you got one person an acre, one person every 20 acres. But you go to Costco and you got everybody jammed up sitting in there, but that's okay. And I think you need to get the economy going, and you get some actual enthusiasm about, geez, we're getting past this thing. Now, are we past it? I want to know what we're past, because nobody can tell me, and they don't know, how many had it and thought it was a cold, how many had it and just ignored it completely, never went to the doctor, how many have it and never went to the doctor. But what I have learned is that the feds, and I have just lost a lot of respect for the feds, they were doing great, and I hope President Trump gets his arms around this. They're counting every death where the person had COVID as a statistic, maybe not a car wreck,
Yes.
but that is the cause. 22-month premature baby had COVID in there. Yeah, that's a COVID case. Well, that's not a COVID case. Being 22 months born from a drug addict mother might be, or someone who's 92 who had multiple pre-existing conditions. They're counting a lot of that. So there are a few cases, and I haven't heard very many, but there are a few cases where they aren't. But you got to get your arms around what the real death count is. And you had 35,000 with the regular flu that Obama did nothing about, and every day it's a new number, but we don't know what the real number is. And we don't know if the infection rate is 1%, half of 1%, 5%, the death rate's 0.25%. We don't know, and they're giving us bad numbers, and I'm very upset with President Trump about that.
You're channeling this show because we played the clip of the 22-week-old, one-day-old baby that supposedly died. Yes, of the St. Louis doctor, and we played the clip of that stuff and all the stuff you're talking about. But in order to back up, or I think you have an ally in what you're doing, and I hope everybody jumps on this. I know I'm on board of getting everybody back to work. I think you have a very important ally in the Trump administration that does this. He's the Attorney General of the United States, Bill Barr. He was on the Ingram Angle on Laura Ingram's show on Fox News. Play about a 30-second clip of this, and he's echoing the same things of doing this, and I want to get your reaction to it. So go ahead and play the clip when you're ready, Jesse.
Right. And so that's the concern. I tweeted out something earlier today, just how, these are inalienable rights. It means, there are a lot of Americans today who are mourning those who've lost their lives in this horrible virus, who also say, the government doesn't have this right to take our rights away, even when the experts are saying this is a horrible time for us health-wise. And they're very worried, increasingly worried, I think, as time goes on, but they've been very patient as well.
Yeah, I think they have been patient, and I think we have to be very careful to make sure this is, that the draconian measures that are being adopted are fully justified, and they're not alternative ways of protecting people. And I think, when this period of time, at the end of April, expires, I think we have to allow people to adapt more than we have, and not just tell people to go home and hide under the bed, but allow them to use other ways, social distancing and other means, to protect themselves.
Would there become a time in the future, perhaps after this April 30th date, where a state somewhere or a local official who declares no religious services with no accommodation, that there's a lawsuit filed, federal civil rights lawsuit against that government action, whether it's by executive decree locally or statewide, or whether it's by the federal government? When would that happen? Would it take a lawsuit? Or would you take action?
Well, we've seen situations even up till now where some jurisdictions have imposed special burdens on religion that they weren't also applying to other kinds of gatherings and events.
Okay,
and
stop it right there.
Jawboned.
I wanted to play that because that's part of what Mark Moyer's made in his demand letter. But talking about the economic part and getting America back to work, I think he's echoing exactly what you're saying and doing right now.
Yeah, I think that's the way to go. And again, could you send a whole lot more to work? Yeah, you'd freak people out. I don't think that's necessarily the way to go. But think about this. You've got, and I'm going to be a little bit selfish here, a little bit. But you've got people who are not working right now. They're not buying things. They don't know what's going on. The information is very conflicting. If you watch CNN, you get one thing. You get Fox at another thing. MSN, they're whack jobs too. So they're often Never Land with CNN. So they don't know quite what to do. But here's a guy who is working outside, a painter, who makes great money, by the way. He's a painter painting a house, and they say you can't do that. All right? Or they say you can't do concrete work, and you do it basically solo and 50 feet from anybody else. Those guys make good dough. They will go buy a unit, a car. The average price of a car right now is probably about $25,000. That creates $2,500 in sales tax revenue and fees that go to the state of California and the city where the car is purchased. So you sit there and say, okay, $2,500 times X. Now, just to give you an idea, and you guys can do the math out in the world, is that the LA region for Toyota will generally sell about 18,000 units in a month. That's just Toyota. All right, forget everybody else. All right, 18,000, 17,000, 13's a terrible month. So you do that, and now this month, if they hit 6,000, there's going to be a party. So do the math and see how much tax revenue was taken out of the equation, which means they're going to have to borrow it in order to operate, and somebody's going to have to pay it back, which is all of us, right, the taxpayers, because our money they're borrowing, and then they're going to have us pay back our money. So I find that a bit revolting. And I think that, again, once again, people haven't been focused on how do we get people back to work, and now you're going to start seeing that tide turn and change. I think that San Bernardino, Riverside counties can be two of the examples who do it right, along with certain states. Montana, Nevada has, it's all dense in Nevada, but hell, their golf courses are open. Their hotels are open. I may go over next week. Now, the casinos are closed, but non-casino hotels are open in Henderson and in Las Vegas, et cetera, et cetera. They're open. Okay, Texas, open for the most part, left to local control. And what you're seeing is a power grab, and Governor Newsom has grabbed it, and he's applying a one-size-fits-all to a state that it is impossible to do that and have work. You've got to take a look at where the clusters are, why it's happening, and deal with it. You can't put a blanket of death on the economy, right? You've got to let local control take over here and see what the situation is. And I think that ultimately, hopefully, the supervisors who are listening to their chief medical officers in the counties are going to start talking to these guys and say, hey, it's time to go back to work. We've had 343 cases. That's a pandemic, which, by the way, since it started in China, I'm calling it a pandemic. It is insane what is going on here, and they don't even have real numbers. I'd love to see real numbers, and then I'd make a comment accordingly. But according to the numbers we're seeing, it still doesn't make even a dent into what happened with the flu season, a normal flu season.
There you go. We got about a minute left. We don't got time to run the clip, but Bill Barr said basically the same thing. If we destroy our economy, when we don't have a healthcare system and economy to take care of this stuff, we're all going to be a world of hurt, and our life expectancy and quality of life will really start going downhill. Again, like all this and what you're saying and he's saying and a lot of people are saying, let's pay attention. You got about 30 seconds to wrap it up.
It's real easy. Just ask yourself when you're sitting at home watching whatever you're watching, and we ought to do a show on how many great shows are on there and all the rest of it. But ask yourself, is the cure worse than the disease? And in this case, so far, it absolutely looks like it's much worse than the disease. More to be said. We'll know more by the end of April. But at this point, it looks like the cure is worse than the disease. Let's go back to work.
You got it. Thanks for being on, Cliff.
You bet.
We got about 30 seconds left. We're going to come back to, so those of you watching on IE Newswire on the webcast, we're going to be coming back. Hopefully we'll get Kenny White back on like we did, and Dwayne from Idaho on that. We're going to kick some more of this stuff around, going back and forth on this. So for those on KMET who's tuning out, we'll be back tomorrow on Fast Friday with Stephanie on that. So to those, see you. To those who are continue watching on the webcast, we're going to be back with Kenny White and Dwayne from Idaho. Stay tuned.